G'day, welcome back to the channel and welcome to this edition of MGUY EV News for Thursday the 6th of June 2024. Be sure to make sure you're subscribed and also that you enable all notifications so you never miss another MGUY video. So firstly, here's the VFACTS sales data for May 2024 in Australia. Provides some interesting insights into how people are thinking about the EV market. VFACTS May 2024. Hybrid and EV sales drive another record month. Another monthly new car sales record has been broken as hybrid sales continue to rise, largely thanks to market leader Toyota. Hardly sounds like the market is struggling, as Waleed Ali claimed in the project yesterday. It's actually booming. Australian new car buyers are increasingly turning to hybrids rather than electric vehicles, EVs, with demand for fuel-saving electrified models driving another record month of sales. A total of 111,099 new vehicles were sold in Australia throughout May 2024, a 5.1% improvement on last year's result in the same month, a record at the time. It's also a significant boost on the 92,202 vehicles sold in April, with buyers flocking to showrooms ahead of the end of financial year. The largest growth in May came from hybrids, which recorded 16,218 sales for the month, a huge 113.4% gain on the same month last year. Plug-in hybrid sales also saw a big jump, up 73.6%, on 2023 with 1,373 sales for the month, while EV sales also grew. However, the 8,974 sales represented an increase of just 10.5%. So the market's generally booming, and EVs are lagging behind hybrids and plug-in hybrids because people can see that hybrids and plug-in hybrids are a better option than a pure battery electric vehicle. While this represented a turnaround from April, where EV sales fell for the first time in more than 2 years, battery-powered vehicle sales increased by only a slim margin compared to the 7.4% growth in the diesel segment, which recorded 34,479 sales through May. Petrol power continues to be favoured by Australian car buyers, with 45,262 unleaded fueled vehicles sold last month, though this was the only segment with a decrease on 2023, down 13.5%. So again, we've got to be careful with percentages, because when we're looking at plug-in hybrids, when there's only 1,400 sold, then yes, percentages can get very big very quickly. So it's interesting because the market as a whole is surging before the end of the financial year on 30th of June. But people are gravitating towards hybrids and plug-in hybrids. Hybrids primarily, which I don't have a problem with. Hybrids are a great idea. Get a hybrid. You know, if you want to do your bit for the environment, reduce emissions, save fuel, buy a hybrid. It makes much more sense than a battery electric vehicle, that's for sure. In Germany, however, things are not going so well, with some of the figures for EVs just absolutely catastrophic. Vehicle registrations in May 2024. 236,425 new passenger cars were registered in May 2024, 4.3% down than in the same month last year. The number of new commercial registrations decreased by 5.6%. Their share was 67.5%. Private registrations fell by 1.3%. 89,498 passenger cars were equipped with a gasoline drive. This was an increase of 2.1% compared to the same month last year. Their share was 37.9%. 44,893 new cars were equipped with a diesel engine, which was an increase of 3.2% compared to the same month last year. Their share was 19%. In May 2024, 71,451 new cars had a hybrid drive system, accounting for a share of 30.2%, down 0.3%, including 14,038 plug-in hybrids. 12.6% of new registrations were electric passenger cars, BEVs. With 29,708 new cars, this type of drive was 30.6% behind the result of the same month last year. Wow, that's crazy. Battery EVs down 30.6% since last year. That's astonishing. And if we go down to the manufacturers and we look at Tesla, Tesla is down 64% since the same month last year. 64%. Yikes. And this is a very interesting story because the first domino to fall, perhaps, states in the US are trying to extricate themselves from stupidly tying themselves to California's emissions regulations, which are crazy. And now Virginia has withdrawn from that. Glenn Youngkin withdraws Virginia from California's electric vehicle mandate. Youngkin's administration says the state will adhere to federal emission standards beginning in 2025. So they're moving from the crazy Californian system to the slightly less crazy federal system. On Wednesday, Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin, a Republican, announced that at the end of the year, the state would no longer comply with California's electric vehicle EV mandate. The idea that government should tell people what kind of car they can or can't purchase is fundamentally wrong, Youngkin said in a statement. Yes, it is. It is absolutely wrong for the governments to be telling us what bloody car we can buy. Virginians deserve the freedom to choose which vehicles best fit the needs of their families and businesses. The law is clear, and I am proud to announce Virginians will no longer be forced to live under this out-of-touch policy. Bravo. Let's hope other states follow suit. Now, across the ditch in New Zealand, things are going swimmingly well, not as 12,000 renegade EV owners now face fines. Because now EVs have to pay road use charges. Welcome to the real world. Just under 12,000 electric vehicle owners failed to prepay for their first block of road user charges by the May 31st deadline. They now face a $200 police fine and a 10% penalty on unpaid charges. As of this morning, we are at 88.75% compliance, which is 93,261 vehicles out of a total of 105,105. NZTA Waka Kotahi spokesman Andy Nakstedt told the Herald earlier today, the fines are not an idle threat. Nakstedt said earlier that about 5,000 road user charge RUC fines were issued to drivers in light diesel vehicles in 2023. Police can tell immediately whether drivers are up to date with their RUCs by the license displayed on their windscreens. It shows the mileage at the time a block of RUCs was bought and how many future kilometres were paid for. The first odometer reading is essentially done by an honour system, but the numbers are subsequently checked each time a car goes for its warrant of fitness. Anyone who tries to cheat the system by fiddling with an odometer faces a fine of up to $15,000. Welcome to the real world, EV drivers. And in Canada, reality is hitting home. Gwyn Morgan, Ottawa's EV mandate is in trouble, and that's a good thing. All the new electrical generation and metal mining required means EVs don't have a hope of getting up to speed in the 11 years left. Wow, common sense. Who'd have thought it? The federal government has mandated that all new light-duty vehicles be electric by 2035. Achieving that goal would require vastly more electrical generation capacity. A Fraser Institute study published in March found that handling the higher load would require either 13 large new gas plants or the equivalent of 10 new mega dams the size of British Columbia's $16 billion hydro site C. Just one problem. Almost all viable hydro sites have already been dammed. Plus, it took 10 years to get environmental approval for Site C, and another 10 to build it. That leaves the natural gas plants. But powering EVs with natural gas puts the kibosh on zero emissions. And in the UK, the EV market is just a complete disaster. As this article shows, big electric car discounts are unsustainable as private sales fall again. The car industry pushes for VAT reductions on EV sales and charging after the general election to help meet zero emissions vehicle mandate requirements. UK car registration figures for May offer a glint of hope for manufacturers struggling to convince private buyers to make the transition to electric vehicles. EV sales in the retail sector only dropped by 2% compared to May last year, while the retail sector overall fell 12.9%. Total registrations for the month were just ahead of May 2023's figures, with a small 1.7% year-on-year increase fueled by continued activity in the fleet sector. A total of 147,678 new cars hit the road in May, the strongest figure for the month since 2021. However, that's still 19.6% lower than the registration total in May 2019 before the pandemic struck. According to the Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders, fleet and business registrations rose 14% and 9.5% respectively last month, which was enough to just offset the decline in private registrations. It says that while deliveries of petrol and diesel cars fell back, registrations of electrified cars rose, with plug-in hybrids, PHEVs, up 31.5% to take an 8% share of the market. Other hybrids rose 9.6%. You can take a look at the figures here in that graphic, but we've got to be a bit careful here because fleets, remember the 3 Fs, fanboys, fleets and freebies? Fleets are still the biggest purchaser of EVs at the moment. Overall, thanks to continued fleet and business demand, fully electric cars outperform the market, with registrations up 6.2%, giving EVs a 17.6% market share. The SMMT points out that the performance is encouraging but still below the trajectory mandated on manufacturers by its vehicle emissions trading scheme, which demands 22% of new vehicles sold this year must be zero emissions. There are more than 100 different EV models on the UK market currently, but manufacturers are being forced to resort to heavy discounting to drive demand from private buyers, a situation the industry body says is unsustainable. According to the SMMT, manufacturer discounts cannot be sustained indefinitely as it undermines the ability of companies to invest in next-generation technologies. Yeah, it just adds to the schmozzle of top-down government mandates interfering in the market. Never works, never will. And finally, there's a good read in Zero Hedge. All the links to these articles are in the description. Go and read this one for yourself, but let's just have a look at the start. 3 reasons there's something sinister with the big push for electric vehicles. There sure is. Might be something to do with control. 25 refrigerators. That's how much the additional electricity consumption per household would be if the average US home adopted electric vehicles, EVs. Congressman Thomas Massey, an electrical engineer, God, he must be the only one, probably, in Congress at all. Let me know in the comments if there are any other scientifically trained congressmen, revealed this information while discussing with Pete Buttigieg, the Secretary of Transportation, President Biden's plan to have 50% of cars sold in the US be electric by 2030. The current and future grid in most places will not be able to support each home running 25 refrigerators, not even close. Just look at California, where the grid is already buckling under the existing load. Massey claims correctly, in my view, that the notion of widespread adoption of electric vehicles anytime soon is a dangerous fantasy based on political science, not sound engineering. Hallelujah! Somebody's saying what I think. Brilliant. Nonetheless, governments, the media, academia, large corporations and celebrities tout an imminent transition to EVs as if it's preordained from above. It's not. They're trying to manufacture your consent for a scam of almost unimaginable proportions. Brilliant article. Go and read it right now. Link in the description. That's just about it for this one. Thanks very much for watching. See you in the next one. Bye for now.